Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. We're going to finish our GameCube, our modded GameCube build today. This is a Japanese GameCube that we've added the Xeno mod and we've painted the case. It's time to put them all back together. And you're saying, well, why are you making a video on this? You could just say, fitting is the reverse of disassembly. Well, I'm not doing that because that's like a cop-out, isn't it? Because if I do that, I can make it look really easy and say there was no problem and I knew where everything went back in. And how does that help you when you go to do yours? So I'm going to kind of do the reverse of the disassembly, blah, blah, but I'm going to do it in a manner where you get to see what I do. So these are the two parts that I recall we had to disassemble to get our Xenu in there. So there's our Xenu and it's all happy. So we're going to pop that back over here. And we're going to have to just pop those screws in. There was quite a few of them. It won't take too long. In fact, there you go. And that's the one. Now, I'm just going to put them in hand tight for now and then nip them up at the end. It's better, by the way, anytime you're screwing in any kind of assembly like this, get all of the screws in and registered first, then tighten them up. Because if you put one in and there's any tolerance in it, which there usually is to be fair, you will find that you won't be able to get the others in. Now I count 6 screws, so make sure your tally is correct. I had to disassemble all of that to get that screw out, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You know, those things happen and you get to see them happen because that's real life. I'm all about the real life, eh? There. So, and there's still fluff coming out here. I should have probably gave this a dusting down because it's still a bit filthy. So if you've got one, get your brush. In fact, I don't know where my good brush is, but look, you might as well get in there and clean some of that dust. But I'm just going to blow it. There you go, done. So now comes a tricky part. So we have our nice green base, and we're not attached any of the plates to it yet because I don't think we will need to. Now this was a tricky one because I've got a load of stuff here which is held together with magnets. I'm going to zoom right out. And I've got even more stuff with springs and all sorts of bits. There's quite a lot of bits. I think that's fair to say about the GameCube. There's quite a lot of bits. Now I remember these things that are the anchors. And those go somewhere. We'll figure that out. So we know that they're all these have to go in that way. Good. Not so good. Maybe that one goes here. Yes, it does. Excellent. And then this one should go. Boom! Off to a great start, guys. I'm feeling very confident. Okay, that clearly will have to go in there. So I see 2 holes here. I feel this is going to go in like that. Excellent. Now there's lots of little holes in these, so that implies that it's part of this assembly, because this assembly, if you recall, had loads of things that had to be pinched all the way around. So I've got our main board here. Oh, hang on, jumping the gun. So we do have this lot here which contains that power supply board. Now that power supply board I thought sat in some metalwork, and indeed it does. It sits in this cage. Oh gosh. Man alive. Which will fit in there. Now does it fit under that or over that? I suspect it doesn't matter. That will be absolutely fine. So then we had this board in like that, and that was held in, and it's going to be with 4 smallish screws. So I'm going to look at my magnet, and hopefully among these we're going to find 4 smallish screws. In fact we do. These are pretty pretty tiny ones there. I'm going to go and guess. Actually, this is a tricky one because all those outer edge are also pretty small screws, weren't they? Dagnammit. So do you have a system when you take stuff apart? If you've got a better system than me, please feel free to let me know down below. I'm just removing the magnets. That's going to be my trick now, just splaying out all these screws while I'm removing the magnet. Incidentally, today was the first day I went outside for a walk in over a week, maybe 2 weeks, something like that. It's a weird experience. It feels like that movie, the Omega Man, or I Am Legend for you youngsters. Now I am counting 4 of those small screws. I feel it's worth trying them. I know there's some small screws here at the front, but I think these were the really long ones. So I think these are those for there. Excellent, excellent work. So yeah, it felt really weird. I mean, I live in quite a rural place anyway, which means we don't have too many people walking around. You're not really going to bump into many people. However, the main difference today was that there's just no cars. There's just nothing. It kind of feels like, wow, if you could, like those movies where you're just going to like steal a car and drive around and do whatever the heck you like. Okay, so I feel that goes in next. No, it doesn't. I feel that this goes in next. Yeah, that makes way more sense. So with a bit of luck, that should push down. Now you didn't see this stage, but in testing I had to put this back on and put the heatsink back on. So when I did that, I actually added some additional heatsink compound to what was there, just to wet it up. It was just a little bit of extra lubricant. Now I'm just being a bit cautious about the front because we have the doors which have these, and there should be 4 long screws. I'm going to put those over there so we don't forget them, and that's absolutely fine. And then we're going to whiz around with our screwdriver and put in all of these, because the GameCube itself is only held down by those 4 screws you can see in the corner, these 4 screw places. So I feel you can just hook up everything else. And you're wondering why I'm doing it on T-towel. That's because this is pretty freshly painted unit. It's not going to have those protections on it. It wouldn't have hardened, and I didn't lacquer it. It's not a lacquered unit. It should have There's a lot of bing bonging in the background. I do apologise for that. Got a new download manager. So yeah, that's not got a protective lacquer on it, so it could chip and mar. And during this time of COVID, it's not really something I fancy going out and buying just for this job. I can probably just repair this later. I feel though I could probably spray on that lacquer even once it's all built together, really, as long as put a bit of sticky tape over the laser. I think I could just dust it from outside. I think I'll do that, and I'm going to get a matte lacquer I can just use with the airbrush to give me more control. I don't think there's a problem, but you let me know down below. I mean, if it's just a light lacquering, do you think it's okay, or do you think I should pull it all apart again? There certainly could be half measures where you take the lid off, you leave it like this, and you just cover this part with paper, masking tape, and then just blitz around the outside edge with it. I think that would be okay. I don't think there'll be any overspray getting in. Mash, there's a lot of screws here, and I've made a mistake already, haven't I? This guy's got to come in here somewhere. Oh, where does that go? No! I may have made a few mistakes there, but we should be back on track now. So make sure that goes in there, and leave the 2 end screws off to attach it. Of course, ensuring that this power cable is hooked into that power supply board at the bottom of the unit. Otherwise, you will have to take it all out. So, where was I? Something about Omega Man. I am legend, yes. I am legend. Wait for it. Dairy. So, we've done that. We've got our joystick things. Now, here we've got a tricky bit coming up. Probably should have done that earlier. Remember, I'm being very ginger trying not to scratch this finish. Oh, stop rocking. If this board's a rocking, don't come a knocking. Right, so that's there. We do have the little doors. Let me grab those. Because those little doors have some teeny tiny little springs. So these are our little painted doors. So cute. So that looks like the way they go. That bit's fine. The teeny tiny springs though. Oh yeah, here they are. So make sure you don't lose them if you take that off. And then there's this metalware too. That's all part of the same thing. These springs look so irreplaceable. I'm really hoping they don't ping off. So they're here to keep the door shut, aren't they? Oh no, they actually operate to push the door out in their own interesting, fascinating way. So I'm going to. This doesn't make any sense at all. Almost as if you need to fit them this way. And then I'll fit one, and if that works... Is that how they go? That feels like how they want to go, but I might have to clean up the paint off the hingey part. Oh no, it feels like it's loosening up. I'll just clean the paint off this one though. We'll see if it works any better. So this one is well and truly scraped. So I'm going to do the same trick. So I'm putting the spring in. Appreciate the... almost lost it. The camera will be struggling to focus on this, I'm sure, if I don't zoom back a bit. I'm going to bend that in. And then fit the door in like that. Yeah, look, that's pretty good. That's definitely better than that one. I guess it's annoying me enough that I'll do the same on this one. It's one of those things, isn't it, where you go, it's not too bad, shall I leave it? And then in removing it, like now, you end up losing the spring and you just wish you never bothered. In fact, I can see here where it rubs, so you could just get in there and clean it. Clean it like that, find small tool. Yeah, that's working. It's already starting to work, so. I think that's good enough. Fine. Okay. Right, so once you've got those in, tip it forward. Let's put it back there where it belongs. And you need to fit these little metal things in there. I suspect they go out that way. So this curvy bit goes towards the front. They sit in there quite nicely. In fact, what held this PCB up? Oh, this PCB actually screws onto the front plastic, so that's fine. We can do that afterwards. It's only attached at the moment because we were testing it, if you recall, in the last video. I've had a lot of fun doing this. I have to admit, this is one of the most fun builds I've had in a while. And it's been a joy to work on, to be honest. The mod chip thing was pretty cool. The laser thing wasn't too bad. and the painting's really nice. I'd love to give this a, I've got another few of these, so I've definitely got plenty to practice on. But I'd certainly love to try giving it a really good job of it. Really nice finish. I mean, this turquoise is absolutely beautiful. I don't know if it's just this Viridian and the primer are just complementing each other, so they're sort of merging into this lovely colour. Okay, so I've got the green panel here now. That's all painted up. So on one of the original ones of these units, it's not painted. It's only on mine it's painted. Makes mine extra special. I suspect they don't paint them so they don't wear out. Now we need to find some appropriate screws to hold it. I kind of feel it could be these. If I just sort of throw them around a bit. Let's have a look. Yeah, I feel they could be, but then looking closer, I'm certain it's not. It's just the regular screws, so that's... I notice I'm saying I feel a lot today. Well, that's in aid of. There's a lot of emotional sharing here. I feel something. I feel. Now there's our battery, by the way. See our really cool little battery mod? It actually looks like we can remove that if we needed to, even without taking this panel off, which is cute. Of course, our blue LED. Should have been a turquoise LED now, shouldn't it? It's a bit too late. You'll just have to keep cracking on. I can feel the paint. It's really scary. I can feel the paint in my fingers. It's still slightly soft. So I'm noticing when things are like paint on paint. I can see little scratchy scratches. There's always that opportunity though when it really has dried to go back and just slightly polish it like you do in a car. So look, that's starting to take shape, isn't it? So I'm going to turn it round to its backside and let's install our panel. Look at that, that came out nice, didn't it? Ooh, that came out really nice. Oh yes, I'll show you what that looks like. I know you want to see it. Dang, and he got in all the corners too. He knows what he knows what he was doing. He knows what he was doing. Also, there's something I just noticed on the bench here. We've got the little feet. It's not complete without its little feet, so we're just going to poke those in. Yep, that's starting to look tight. Now, there are an awful lot of screws here, and there's not an awful lot of pieces left. So let's go grab the other parts. In fact, the other parts are the lid, the badge, and the doors and the buttons. So now I am going to start to panic a little bit, but I do know there's an awful lot of fittings here in the lid, so that's probably where the balance will be accounted for. And also I'm looking at this and it's not very shiny, so I might have a go at polishing that in a sec before we fit that too. That'll be the last thing we do. Let me clear some stuff away. Let's have a little look, see what we've got to deal with here. So there's our lid, which I think we can put aside for now. So I really want to have a good look at this. We had a lot of mechanisms and things in here, if you recall. This is the top part. So we have our light guide for our lovely blue LED. We're going to poke that in there. In fact, we're going to feed it down with a couple of screws ready loaded, because that will definitely help me. So it's got a couple of screws ready loaded in there. I'm just going to take a tiny bit of care. I'm going to give, I don't know, half a twist on each one. Oh, I'm so paranoid. Every time I see a little bit of white dust on here, I'm like, oh my god, it's chipped. It's not chipped yet, but again, it's got that softy smell. Give yours, just try to be patient, let that dry up properly. If it's an acrylic paint, it's going to take that a bit longer, especially the way we cut it with that window lane. Right. So that's our eject mechanism that fit down there. In fact, let's just kind of do a mock fitting. That's not the complicated part of this. The bit that's going to get us is the spring. So the spring, now there's two springs we have. One was for the lid and one is for that mechanism there. I'm going to say it's probably this one. I'm just going to have a quick look at the lid, ever so quick. Yeah, it's not revealing anything. Let's have a look at the hinge for the lid. That fits almost too well. And then there was an idler that goes in there. Is that the gap for the idler? Just check it. No, because the idler went on the other part. Yeah, so I think that's that. So it's this spring. Does feel a bit on the long side though, doesn't it, if it goes there, because you can see it's like I feel that Nintendo are too good at this. They wouldn't do something that doesn't fit right. No, it can't be this one because it just doesn't fit at all. So you've got a short length and a long length. I'm going to think, let's post the shorter one here. Let's just try it, shall we? I'm going to hold that in like that. It's trying to jump off. Whoa! What does that do? Well, it's in and it seems to be working. Look, that's what I've got eyeballed up there. Probably alright. Let's roll with it. This is where you have those bigger screws with the bigger head on them, like that. I'm going to back that quarter of a turn, so I'm going to make sure there's definitely not putting any pressure on it. There we go. So my bit that I feel that we're probably going to end up adjusting is going to be the buttons. Just give it another little dust. Right. Probably going to be the buttons because I'm not sure they're going to fit so nicely, but we'll worry about that in a moment. Now we've got this drive door, which I can start to position in like that. So that's locked in. It's locked in by that front bit that we've just added, which is fine. So let's just put that down like that while we have a look at how all of this slot goes in. So we have a simple hinge on this side, so that's going to just be a little block that's just going to go in just like that, scoop it in like that. That's what I'm guessing. And hopefully it should just go in. Come on. There we go. It was pretty close as it was. Just pop that screw in. Now the other side is the bit which is going to be the bigger worry. I do like how Nintendo have pretty much used one size of screw virtually everywhere, so that's very helpful. So let's focus now on this complicated area here. So we've got an idler pulley here, so this acts as a damper. It slows it down, and that's going to go in there. We know that because it has to mesh with that gear, and it does have a little place where it sleeps. So I'm just going to see if we need to open this door or something to get it to sit in there. Oh, jumped out. Just want to check that. I don't know if there's any way if we can tell it is in there, to be honest with you. It's maybe just is or it isn't. Okay, well we'll leave it like that for now. So the whole mechanism here is shrouded by this piece here, which will then contain also the spring. So it does look like it relies on that idler to be in a particular position. So I'm going to just test that. And in fact, the spring is part of this mechanism too. So that spring is going to go in like that. And let's see what it's trying to do. It's going to push underneath. Yeah, it's going to push underneath. So we're going to eyeball all of that. All of these things have to go together. And I don't think, because there's a hole in here, I'm just making sure there's no strange interaction between this and that. I don't think there is. So that's going to go like that. Now let's see. Okay, so if this is going to go in there, basically this spring is going to fall in between. I'm going to try to push it through and then try to show you. It's actually going through and then engaging with this small slot here. You can see my finger there? That's where it's going to fit in the door. So there's a few things have to go on there at once. And I have a nasty feeling you're just going to have to fight it. I don't think there's a clever way that we're going to learn how to do this. Unless Nintendo let us know. Okay, so that's the spring in the right place, and you've got this hinge pin that has to go in, and then the other. I think we can probably roll it all over. Oops, it's locked in again. That's fine. So that's the spring. Okay, so that's the spring put in place, and I'm going to use this tweezers to push it up like that. Get it over the block. Okay. We're almost in. Right, so now that's the block in place. And then the idler, which is like that. I'm going to put the idler in place. Whew, come on now. Everything's trying to fall apart. And now I need to get my head in there so I can see where to engage that. Yep, so now I can see that that is engaged. I can feel it. There's tension on that spring. I'm going to put my little finger in. So you can see it's being held, and then I'm twisting that down to sandwich the whole lot together. Look, it's sandwiched the whole lot together. And there's a screw hole at the back. It's quite a good design, isn't it? It's a lot there. Ah, I suspect if you are a Nintendo employee and you're doing this all day, you become pretty good at it. I wonder how they train people. Do they just let them discover how to do it themselves and work out their own way? No, they wouldn't. They would use like a, one of those processes where they've got a stopwatch and they'll work out the best way, and then the training literature will be on that. So let's see if this works now. Oh, there you go. That's pretty good. I don't think we're going to complain about that. Now we have a few little things. Now we've got the buttons. Now the buttons are a fun one because we've painted the inside and the outside, so all of these diameters could effectively be a bit smaller than they were. But I think we're just going to try it. So this is the power button. Ooh. So what I advise, because you've got a painted edge, just push these in ever so slightly. These, because you don't want it to chip the paint on the edge, because that's going to be really visible if you do that. So that's a tricky one, very tricky. Okay, we're getting in there. I think we're there. Right, so the power button's in. Oh yeah, look, it's loose enough. Good, off to a good start. The reset button. Again, just giving that a little clean. That's going to be okay, I think. The reset button seems okay. Now this was the button that was always a bit tricky, in all honesty. I'm going to give this a little bit of a clean just here on all these faces, because these are the faces that rub. I'm just going to work that one in. Come on. Oh. Oh, yes. I'm pretty pleased with that. That's okay. It's okay. Phew. Right. Excellent. I guess we just need the other path now. Although, I do notice an awful lot of screws here. Yeah, let's have a look here. Let's see how many screws. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the main screws, and then I'm noticing a screw hole here and a screw hole here. Just doing a screw hole audit. Oh, I can see at least 4 screws that we forgot in this part, so that's okay. Let's just quickly put those in. I'll show you where they go. So I'm going to take this back panel off again. It's the screws that go along here. And there's one that goes underneath this, so you'd have had to take this off. I'll just put those on in a jump cut. It's up to you what you want to do if you find spare screws. I found spare screws and they belong down here, so I decided I couldn't live with knowing that there were some unpopulated screw holes here. Sad as it may be, I feel it had to be done. Now I'm really going to check and count these now, because I definitely feel we've gone this far. I don't want to end up with any more spare screws. So it looks like I've got 2. So in hand, I've got 2 screws here that we really want to, that are the unaccounted for ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a real tricky one, really, because I can see that there aren't any more screws on the board. We've got those 4. Yeah. Although it looks to me like those screws should have gone on here first. So that means this heat shield has to come off, the heat sink has to come off, the screws we just put in have to come out. This is a nightmare, bloody hell. Now when you're doing this, remember you don't necessarily have to take all of this out, you have to depend what you want to do. If you're just painting, just mask the bloody thing. That's my advice to you, just mask it. Or take a lot of good photos as you go along. Dagnammit. It's a bit like those laptops. You do a laptop and just when you think you're done, you find an extra long screw. Look at that. You'd find an extra long screw because Toshiba or something use 10 different type of screws, and some go through all the layers of the PCBs and some go through just one layer, and oh, it's a nightmare. Okay. We will resume momentarily. Literally spent 20 minutes going through this to try to figure out what these 2 last screws for. It's been driving me insane. Then I noticed this, of course, the carrying handle. So we'll just put the back on. Oh my word. Pay attention when you're taking it apart. Maybe you'll have less of an issue than I had. How does this go? Probably ought to check. I think it goes in the lid actually, yes. Good. So make sure get it all in the right order. That makes a lot of sense actually, because oh, there we go. That's a very strong part, the way it's all put together. It really does feel like the GameCube was meant to be portable. You know, it's a travelling device. Look how many screws they put in the whole thing. They've made it so rigid. I can't remember really back then in the 2002, whenever it would have been. What would we have been doing? I don't feel we'd have been walking around with GameCubes, but maybe. Okay, so just bring this over here. Let's align this. I kind of want to really make sure I don't scrape this. I'm going to do it at this angle so I can see it. Hopefully you can see something. It's looking good. Come on. Come on. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. That is quality. That is quality, governor. Probably ought to have tested it out a bit more. But I can't resist. We've got 4 screws left. So that's that done. And these are all your expansions. I've got that Game Boy Advance player in my orange unit, so I might have to investigate all of this at some point. Now this kit wasn't that painful to install, so I think my orange one is going to stay orange. I think that's only fair. It makes sense. It's pretty much an original. I haven't seen any orange ones in the UK. I don't really know what the story was behind those. Good. So that is now starting to take a lot of shape. Now we do have this thing, which is this SD card thing, and I don't know if that's programmed up correctly or anything, but I will have a look to see where that fits. It does say this side faces inside and this side faces outside, so that would go something like that. It's kind of a loose fit though. Should do the job. Now we can put these panels in. That's not going to come out. Oh. I'm being a little bit ginger with them. I don't want to scrape them at the last hurdle. That one's in nicely. This one, I don't know really if I want to put it in because it might be coming out, but that looks okay. So there's your bottom view, there's your back, there's your front. The only thing is, I'm going to go give this a little bit of a buff. I don't think we want to fit this all scuzzy like that. The final piece. Now it's a lot better than it was, but it's not perfect, so I might replace this in the future. But oh, look at that. That is absolutely stonking, isn't it? I mean, that is a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. And of course, don't forget, we changed that LED too. So if we hook some power on, the moment of truth. Oh no, which one is it? Oh yeah. Check out that blue LED. You can see I've set up our newly painted GameCube with a television in a way that you can see it now, and connected up, unfortunately, a not green controller. I have taken the liberty of customizing a memory card because, of course, with this setup, I assumed that with Swiss you wouldn't need a memory card anymore, like it could emulate it, but it doesn't. So I've painted up one of those, and it's probably going to just live in there forever. So I think it's worth painting it up because you're never going to take that out. Also, just to show you, this is Serendipity. That's that horse game that actually pretty much matches this console. It's almost like I've painted it to match this unspecified Japanese horse game, edition 3. So just power up your unit with the new Swiss disc inside, and you can see it's loading up into the standard GameCube setup, but it will then continue to boot into Swiss version 0.5, and apparently it's the 25th of the 12th 2094 according to my GameCube, so I think I need to reset that clock at some point. So after you do your battery mod, go reset your clock. So you can see I've loaded up some ROMs here. These are ISO images of games I already have, which the whole point of this, of course, is that I can play those without my kids touching the discs. So there are a bunch of options here. So if you press B, you can go down to this menu here on the bottom, and that goes through all these different things like system sound, screen position, system language, etc, etc, etc. And I have to admit, I haven't been through everything, and I don't understand everything because some of the settings I make don't appear to change anything. So I'm just going to go to discard and exit. Something I've noticed, some things work really well and some things work less well, so I really need to figure out what's going on. If I go to Animal Crossing here, for example, and it gives you a bit of information about that ROM, so I'm just going to click OK, and then it's saying it's PAL 576i, which is great. And then it does this whole patching thing, and then you either press B to boot normally, or you can choose all of these DOL files. And I think DOL files are almost like self-contained executables of the various games and things that are on there. So if I just say roll with it, execute normally, you can see I do get a kind of weird screen, like it's trying to run in a very unspecified graphics mode. So I've gone through the TV, through the CCAM and PAL menus, and I can't seem to pick it up with this TV. So I'm going to have to learn a little bit more about how all this works so that I can configure that properly. If you hit the reset button also, it doesn't go back to the main Nintendo menu despite me setting that in the options. So I'd rather it go back to here so I can go and choose a new title. Something that does seem to work though quite well is if you set the right mode in Swiss, you open the drive and you'll see that the disc's not running, it's not even spinning, so which is kind of neat because it can save your DVD drive wear and tear once you've got this all set up properly, because it just turns off the drive. You don't need the drive spinning. Let's try one more title. I'm going to try what's this one? The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition promo, which of course is the same as this guy here. And you can see here it says video mode NTSC 480i. So I don't know if the strangeness on the screen is because it's the Japanese GameCube and it's trying to output a PAL-J or some other different signal. But you can see clearly here the Swiss looks okay. So there must be some tweaks that I can make here to just sort of force the right modes or hold down things in the right. There's some button combinations apparently you can use here when you load up Swiss. But we'll just try one more. But overall, I think I'm really happy with this. I originally did this so that my kids could play, and I'm going to turn the volume off here. Used a scrapper Japanese GameCube as this project, but I'm at the point now where I don't think I want my kids to use it. It's too nice now. I've done too good a job. This thing feels brand new, because I washed it, cleaned it, rinsed it in alcohol to make sure it's clean, then painted it, and all that effort. I'm not sure I'm ready for them to play with it. This might be for daddy. So hopefully this has been of some use to you. And by the way, you can see the picture is great on this, so yeah, if you know what's going on, please comment down below and let me know. But yeah, hopefully this is of some use to you and been inspirational, and you're going to go out and paint yours with just the usual paint you have lying around like I did. If you've liked this video and you want to see more of it, please hit the like button down below. If you'd like to buy me a coffee for my labours, I have a Patreon. You can find that again on the information down below or on my main page. I do have some gadgets on backofficeshow.com, a little shop there that you can just jump on there if you want to see if there's any of the gadgets I make are useful to any of the retro systems you have. And of course, if you want to chat to me, please do so via Discord, links again down below. and I'm occasionally on Twitter. So thank you so much for bearing with me. Enjoy your GameCubes, and as ever, thank you for watching.